Coming to the next topic, this is with respect to judicial push for environmental CSR, corporate social responsibility. We have this particular column which has been published in the Hindu, where the author says that we have a very robust framework of CSR. We'll see what it is. Corporate social responsibility, where a certain portion as a part of their total profit is basically invested in certain domains, education, environment. We have the other domains, health, for example. What the author is trying to say is that even after having a robust framework, what we see is the environmental aspect is neglected. What he's saying is that we have these corporate houses, these industries, who damage the environment the most through various policies, through various processes. But they are the ones who are not taking the responsibility of restoration. They are diverting the CSR resources in particular domains, not in environmental conservation. They think that it is a kind of a charity which they're doing if they do some activity with respect to environment conservation. But this is not a charity. What the author says is that this should be an obligation for these corporate houses, and they must increase the amount with respect to the environmental domain, the environment conservation. Okay? So what the author is saying is, and also he gives the context. He says that recently the Supreme Court has invoked this particular fundamental duty, 51 capital A subclause G, which says that all citizens have the duty to protect the environment. What the Supreme Court has said is that it is also the duty of the corporates to make sure that the environment is protected. The Supreme Court was actually hearing a petition with respect to the maintenance of the great Indian bustards, right? So what the author says is that the right to conduct business is inseparably linked to the responsibility to restore the planet. It can be a very good way forward in your answers. And the author, has given a very innovative approach, very important component of GS3, environment conservation. Again, what the background says is, with respect to the CSR framework, we have the corporate social responsibility. India was among the first countries in the world to come up with this particular framework. What it said, the philosophy was that these corporates, whose very motive is the profit, also have an obligation towards the society. So they have to contribute a particular portion of their profits in certain domains, the health, education, environment domain, so as to make sure that they are fulfilling their social obligations towards the society. Corporate social responsibility, given in section 135 of the Companies Act 2013. It says every company having a net worth rupees 500 crore or more, turnover rupees 1000 crore or more, or a net profit of rupees 5 crore or more during the immediately preceding financial year, shall constitute a corporate social responsibility committee of the board consisting of 3 or more directors, out of which at least 1 director shall be an independent director. And then they would make sure that at least 2% of the net profits of the preceding 3 financial years are basically given in these domains, are rooted in these domains, are invested in certain domains, health, education. Okay? There are various examples, ITC for example, it has come up with the e-Chopal, different mechanisms. But what the author says is the environmental concerns are underfunded. The CSR amount is only being invested in certain domains. We'll see what the figures are. But the environment is not being looked with the same importance from that same perspective. Because we have set target for ourselves, net zero by 2070. We also have the nationally determined contributions, बहुत important है, which we have submitted to United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. We have said that we would basically make sure that we add additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide by additional forest coverage. Then we have also said that we would install the total as a proportion of the total electric capacity which we have, installed capacity, almost 50% would come from the non-fossil fuel sources. Then we have also talked about that we would reduce the emission intensity of GDP by 45% by 2030. From a comparative perspective of 2005. So these are the NDCs, nationally determined contributions. Okay? And there have been rising ecological challenges in the form of the air pollution. We already know what happens as the winter onsets, as the onset of the winter begins in the NCR region. We already know what is the level of air quality index. We know that we have these industries which are basically dumping a lot of waste in the very pristine, pure rivers. So there are ecological challenges, right? And that is also having an effect. Increased frequency and intensity of droughts of rainfall. Why it is happening? Because of anthropogenic climate change, human-induced climate change, skewed CSR spending pattern. What the author is saying is in the last 7 years, there has been a very skewed pattern of the investments with respect to CSR. What he says is the education has received almost 38%, healthcare has received 22%, rural development almost 10%, but environment remains the least priority area for various industries. And he has also given the reasons why it happens. Just 7 to 9% goes in the environment conservation project. But he also talks about the very good or the best practices which we have observed, right? Various projects, positive corporate initiatives. You can definitely cite them in your answers. We have Mahindra coming up with the project Haryali, where almost 25 million trees were planted. Then we have ITC has come up in a forestry model, which also focuses in making sure that there are adequate livelihood options and ecological restoration at the same time, right? Then we have Tata Group. It has focused on ecological conservation through various projects. It has invested a lot in the integrated watershed management. Then we have the Coca-Cola and Hindustan Unilever Limited. It has talked about the circular waste management, invested a lot in that particular domain. Then we have the Jindal Steel Works, has invested a lot in mangroves restoration. So they can be cited as best practices, but it must be emulated. It must be followed by the other corporates also. The restoration gap, a major concern. We have the bond challenge, which focuses upon the afforestation aspect, where India has taken a pledge that we would have 26 million hectares. We would do the afforestation to the tune of almost 26 million hectares. But we have just achieved 9 million hectares. Again, a very small number. Then we have corporate contribution. It remains negligible. Once we talk about the restoration aspect or the afforestation aspect, the contribution of corporates is almost negligible. Whatever is being done, it is being done by the government, not by the corporates. Then damage versus the restoration debate. What the author is saying is that when we talk about the damage aspect, once we talk about the damage to the environment, the corporates are the one who are the most important players. They have damaged the environment the most. And when it comes to the responsibility part, when it comes to the restoration, they are basically shouldering off the responsibility. They are not carrying out the obligations, which ideally they should. Rising logical challenges. Again, because of the effluents, we have the industrial effluents, which are drained into the rivers. And then that degrades the quality of the aquatic life. Also, the people who are dependent upon that particular water. So that must be taken into account. Why environmental CSR is neglected? Why? What is the reason? Because most of the corporates, they have a preference for quick wins. They want to go for those projects which can highlight the activity to the people in a very short period of time. Awareness campaigns, building a school. See, ecological restoration, if you want to go for afforestation in a particular degraded area, degraded land, it would take almost 20-30 years. But constructing a school, constructing any of the health facility would take lesser time. And that would portray that particular corporate in a very good light in the eyes of people. So there is this feeling of quick wins, right? Awareness campaigns, complexity of restoration projects. See, whenever we talk about, for example, afforestation or ecological restoration, these are complex things. They require the expertise. And for that, the corporates would have to hire biodiversity experts, scientists, botanists. But that is an intensive process. That would basically be something which would be cumbersome for the corporates. So that is not done. Then we have the flawed practices. There's one very important practice known as Miyawaki practice. You must have heard about this. It was propagated by the Japanese ecologist, Akira Miyawaki. Now, what is Miyawaki forest? It is basically planting dense microforests in small areas. Dense microforests in small areas. But there are issues with respect to Miyawaki. Because what we are witnessing is in many of the places, this has not worked. Because there is ecological mismatch between the species which you are planting and what is best suited for that particular place. Then the area requires intensive water. So that is leading to the degradation, or that is leading to the drop in the overall water capacity of that particular region. There is the attack by the invasive alien species in the Miyawaki areas. So we cannot just go with a project on a superficial basis. There has to be a proper research which has to be done, and that requires intensive work, right? Institutional issues, there is poor support systems by various departments. The forest departments, they're not really conducive with respect to the ecological restoration. Even if a corporate wants to do something, there is the issue with respect to the support system. How would the corporate access the experts, or how would the corporates get a green clearance from the forest department? There are issues. What are the reforms which are suggested? The very first is that we need to redefine the success parameters. We have various success parameters as far as CSR is concerned. Why not we include certain parameters which are in line with the biodiversity aspect? For example, what has been the improvement as far as the water retention capacity is concerned? What has been the improvement with respect to the soil organic carbon? If there has been improvement, definitely that should be counted as a CSR activity. What has been the improvement as far as the biodiversity is concerned in a particular area? So new parameters must be introduced, right? Institutional collaboration. We have various departments, various ministries, we have universities, we have state agricultural universities. Why not seek the help or expertise of the professors who are working over there, or the researchers who are working in these institutes? There has to be adequate collaboration. Also, we have a lot of NGOs working in the domain of environment conservation. They must come all on board. Corporates must seek the advice of all these stakeholders. Long-term financing mechanism. Yes, very important. If you are going, let's say, for afforestation, these are long-term projects. They are long gestation projects. They require a lot of investment. So come up with alternative mechanism. We have, for example, the Global Environment Facility. Why not we can go with the bonds structure, corporate bonds for a particular activity, the green bonds. So since this activity requires, there is high risk involved. It's not for sure, you cannot say for sure that the species would properly grow in a particular area. There can be the attacks by the pests, by other insects. So you'll have to factor in all the risks which are involved, and therefore come up with robust financing mechanisms. Reimagining the corporate governance. From a stakeholder approach, that we are one of the stakeholders in the system, we need to go to ecosystem-centric governance, where the environment must be at the center stage. And only then we would be able to achieve the goals as far as sustainable development is concerned, as far as ecological restoration is concerned. So this is what the author is talking about. Let's have a very small 10-marker question. Try to write. It's a very small question, very simple. Examine the reasons for the skewed allocation of CSR funds and discuss how corporate participation can be strengthened for ecosystem restoration in the country. Do write, because there is no other alternative. If you really want to ace the main examination, what you have to do is keep on writing as much as possible, right? Let's go to the next section.